Welcome to the Leaders in Payments podcast, where we talk to C-level leaders from across the payments landscape. We'll be discussing the products and services that impact the payment space today, as well as trends and predictions for the future of payments. We will also hear stories from our guests about their journeys to the top.
Hi, everyone. This is your host, Greg Myers. And on today's show, we have Lili Metodieva, and she is the managing director for Monneo. And this is episode 175 of the Leaders in Payments podcast. And more specifically, this is our third episode in our special Women Leaders in Payments month. So, Lili, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Greg. It's a very pleasure.
So first, tell us a little bit about the company and the role it plays in the payments ecosystem.
Yeah, thank you. I'd love to tell you a little bit more about Monneo. Monneo is a financial institution, and what we do is filling in the gap between the traditional banking and the e-commerce industry. We are very much focused on providing banking services and banking and payment solutions to the e-commerce merchants. We're currently connected to several different banks internationally, and we are able to provide our clients with various types of payments and various types of currencies. Our solution is based on the open banking concept, but we upgraded it a lot because with the open banking, a customer needs to bring their own banks. They only have the technology, but they need to bring their own banks, apply to each and every bank separately. With us, when a client comes to us, through one solution and through one agreement, they actually get access to the whole network of banks we have. And this way, they also get access to various currencies and various payment methods worldwide.
Okay, and as the managing director there, can you tell us what your roles and responsibilities are?
Yes, well, in big lines, my roles and responsibilities are to recognize opportunities, to prevent mistakes, and to get things organized. And I do mean that in all the various aspects of the business. Well, my main goal is to work on the business development side of the business with new partners, new clients, all the new opportunities that we have as a company to develop, to grow our solutions and to provide solid services to our customers.
Okay, well, let's rewind a little bit and maybe talk about your background. So where did you grow up and what was your life like growing up?
My life was a very normal life of a kid, but at that time we were mostly getting the information from books and not from YouTube and from the internet. So I spent quite a lot of time reading, a lot of time playing outside with my friends. And yeah, that was the main thing I can remember from those days. A lot of playing outside in the sunshine because I was born on the south and it was nice weather, and a lot of books. That's my childhood.
And where did you grow up?
I was born and raised in Plovdiv. This is actually the sixth oldest city in Europe. It's in Bulgaria. It's on the southern part of Bulgaria.
Okay. And when you were young, did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up?
I was looking into two separate career paths, and one of them I wanted to become an artist because I was talented at that time. I considered myself talented, so I wanted to become an artist. And on the other hand, I wanted to become a pilot of an airplane. So these are two completely different directions. And of course, I ended up in the fintech space. But yeah, these were my childhood dreams and career aspirations.
So as an artist, was it paintings or what?
Painting. Yeah, exactly. Paintings. I used to do it quite a lot. Nowadays, not anymore because I don't have the time to. But at that time, that was my dream.
Okay. And you went to the University of National and World Economy in Bulgaria. What did you major in there, and maybe what was your college experience like?
Yeah, first of all, I had the bachelor degree in IT. When I graduated, I just realized I don't see myself just sitting in front of a computer and writing code all day. Although it's quite interesting, of course, you can create various products, you can create all kinds of software. It's something that can be applied to a lot of different areas in life. However, I just didn't see myself doing that because I prefer to be around people, to have the communication, to interact with a lot of people, to have a lot of action in my life and in my career. Therefore, I thought, okay, I have to do something else. I have to decide what to do. And after that, I did a master's degree in commerce. And eventually it fit quite well into what I have started doing after that. I have started working because, the combination between the knowledge of how the IT works, internet technologies and also the commerce, it brought me to a later career in the fintech space it's very helpful, I have to say.
Okay. And what was your first job after college?
It was quite an interesting one because it doesn't exist anymore, this product and this company, and it cannot exist. And I'll explain to you why. It was a company who was specializing and selling telecommunication systems. And it was at the time when there was no Skype, no Zoom, nothing like that. And if you had offices in different countries around the world, if you wanted to do conferences between your teams and connect your teams on a regular basis for meeting, the only way to do that properly was through video conference systems, which required quite a lot of expensive equipment, screens and software and hardware. And you had to customize for each and every client the solution they need based on their needs and requirements. And it was very interesting to see how quickly in a few years, how this business completely disappeared because no one uses those systems anymore. So yeah, that was my first job, and it was somehow related again to the IT and the commerce sectors. And this is how I started.
Yeah, it's amazing how back then all of that expensive, like you said, expensive hardware and software. And I mean, it was a major undertaking to get video conferencing to work. And today you can pick up your phone and FaceTime somebody in 2 seconds. So it's kind of amazing.
It's absolutely mind-blowing, yeah, because I think about back at that time, first of all, you had to ask the client several questions, define their needs, define what kind of expectations they have, how often they're going to do those meetings, what kind of features they would like to have. And you prepare that long offer of, containing all kinds of features and fancy stuff. And now everything happens with a button, and that's it. Like it's very, 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 very weird feeling.
Yeah. So that was your first job, and that was after university, so that gets you into the real world. So maybe walk us through, after that first job, kind of your career progression all the way to where you are today.
Yes, you bring me back to those days. So let me think. After I spent some time with these companies, involved selling in video conference systems and solutions, I wanted to do something else, and I wanted to do something different. And I easily get bored with things. So I really wanted to dive into something completely different and known. And that time, the e-commerce, the card acquiring, online payments wasn't so popular. Yes, of course, there were already companies that were selling products and services online, but it wasn't that massive and popular as it is nowadays. And I'm talking about the time, let's say 15, 16, 17 years from now. And I decided I went to an interview for a company which was a payment service provider. They provided software solutions and merchant accounts for online merchants to be able to accept card payments on their websites. They had their gateway, and they were basically opening an office in Sofia. So they wanted to outsource their whole business in Sofia, in Bulgaria. And I applied for a job there. For me, it was completely new. It was an unknown area to explore. I didn't have a clue about what it was, and it made it quite interesting and challenging. And when we started the office there, the company at that time, it was like raising a baby because there were so many things that were not in place, that were missing, that haven't been developed yet. So we had to do everything from scratch, to have all the processes, all the procedures, all the stuff, training the staff. Then you have all the systems to be developed and upgraded to get that solution branded properly, to take the brand out there. Later on, when they obtained their card acquiring license, it was 7 years after I started there, I pretty much created the whole acquiring operations for them, starting again from scratch. And looking back into my career, I think what I really enjoy is doing things from scratch, developing something from the very beginning. until I take it to a stage where it can proceed working with the team it has and with the operations and processes in place. So I set up the whole acquiring division for that payment service provider. All their operations related to risk, compliance, AML. They were a UK licensed principal member of Visa and MasterCard. And I spent overall with that group 10 years. It was an amazing journey because I was like the second person joining the team. And when I left the company, it was, I think, more than 250 people. Yes, which was a great feeling after all, because the experience, the good experience, the bad experience, everything, it helped so much, at a later stage in my career. And then I was like, because I was 10 years in the payment industry, so I decided, okay, I'm going to take a break. I would like to do something different. And I started a project related to Facebook marketing. I started as a consultant with some friends of mine, Facebook marketing, again, things related to Shopify, to online merchants, sales, and specifically online advertising. I learned the business from that aspect as well. This was something I was missing, the knowledge I had obtained so far. And then I realized that the online payments is something I really want to proceed working and developing myself in, because it's like love for life. It's so dynamic. There is no routine. And I knew a lot of aspects related to it. I knew what opportunities there are. So at some point, I decided I would like to go back to payments. I would like to proceed to explore different angles of the online payments, to explore different markets, different companies, maybe to see what would happen. Another challenge I decided to take, great opportunity, was to expand the business of a Chinese, Hong Kong-based, actually, acquiring bank. So the company is originally in Hong Kong. They have offices in China. They have their team in China. So I started working with them to help them expand their business in Europe, because they were providing WeChat Pay and Alipay, which are great solutions for the Asian market. But they wanted to push those solutions in Europe as well. That was an absolutely amazing experience, because it's a completely different mentality. So to make that bridge between the Asian way of working to the European way of working, and to connect those dots, it was an amazing experience. I have made a lot of friends there in China, great friends, I have to say. And I have learned so many things just about, the business, about the different ways to do business, learned the Asian way of doing business as well in regards to the online payments. And I have to say, I'm really grateful about this opportunity. And then, of course, I decided to do something else, to explore the business, explore the online payments in the fintech world from another aspect. Then I joined Monneo as a managing director to help Monneo grow. I decided to join Monneo for the reason that I saw and I could recognize the huge potential that solution had, because I joined something like 3 years ago, if I remember correctly. A huge potential, extremely interesting solution, and it's still a unique solution. So I was really, really excited about it and really inspired by all things that could be achieved. And this is how it started with Monneo. And slowly growing the team, slowly growing the processes, expanding the network of partners, getting the brand out there, getting people to know the brand and, all the aspects. And nowadays, I tend to believe Monneo is actually a unique solution in the market. I do not know any other competitor doing what we do. And I'm extremely proud of what we have achieved and, of course, the brilliant team we have.
So when you went to Monneo, they still a very young startup company, I would assume.
I pretty much was involved from the very beginning, like recruiting the first people, training them. At that time, I started doing this as a consultant, and later on, I joined officially as a managing director. So I would say that I'm with Monneo from the beginning, more or less, because I set up base in terms of, team. Later on, of course, once I joined officially, I helped them develop further. And yeah, that's where we are now.
Okay. Well, great. So that brings us up to the current time. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about women leadership and women leaders in payments. So what would you say are some of your guiding principles?
If I am completely honest with you, I'm not a fan of, looking into women leadership and men leadership. I always think about people as people. I try not to make a difference whether they're men or women. So I would prefer to talk about leadership in general, if you don't mind, because to me it's important that we recognize in people their skills and their knowledge and their expertise, and we do not really focus on whether they're women or men or black or white or whatever. This is the way I would like to approach the subject, if you don't mind.
Sure. So, what are your guiding principles?
My guiding principles, in terms of business, also in terms of life, it's treat others the way you'd like to be treated by them. That's, I think, because in any business, the most important thing, and I'm absolutely 100% sure about it, it's the people. It's the people who are in the team, it's the people who you do business with, it's your partners, it's your clients. So everything else you can actually develop, services, solutions, software, processes, procedures, all this can be developed. But when it comes to people, this is the most important factor, and you have to work with people which are in the same, operating in the same frequency. They think alike. And it also requires to maintain those relationships with a lot of respect. Therefore, my guiding principle is exactly this: treat the others the way you like to be treated.
Yeah, I love that. That's one that we could all live by, both professionally and personally. That's for sure. I love it. Who inspired you along the way? Are there certain people in your life that were inspirational for you?
A lot of people. I have to say that in the payments industry, I have met so many amazing people, beautiful minds, with so many ideas. And it's always, I have made a lot of friends actually during my career in the fintech sector. I think that you can find something inspiring and you can find something interesting and to learn from in every person. Of course, one of the people who actually inspired me is my mother to start with. But of course, after that, during my career, I have met so many amazing people that in everyone, I try to find something new, something for me to learn and something to enrich my life and experience.
Have you in your career had mentors, or have you been a mentor for other people?
I tend to believe yes, maybe not officially like a mentor, but when I create my teams and when I have created my teams back in the days, we become friends within a team. And often people came to me and consulted with me for a number of things, including their professional career, including what they would like to study, or even something related to their families or friends or any kinds of issues. So I was always trying to guide them, to give my advice without judging, of course, on any situation. And I tend to believe that I have been a mentor for a few people. I could see them grow in their careers. They're at some, leadership positions right now, and I'm extremely happy to see those people working in such a brilliant way and developing and growing in their careers. So yeah, definitely. But again, it comes down to the respect. It comes down how you treat the people, and when you have that connection, people are able to show their potential and they're able to grow further.
Yeah. And, when I talk to people about this subject, really large companies across the globe may have specific mentorship programs, right? And it's very prescriptive. And what I like about people who don't work at these big companies is they're often have mentors or are mentors for others. And it's just natural, right? It just sort of happens with people who are leaders, right? I mean, you mentioned it. There are people that you've mentored that it's not really like, you wouldn't call it mentorship and you wouldn't call it the specific program that you were involved in, but you definitely did it, right? You helped people, you guided people. I mean, to me, that's mentorship. I like to hear when people say, yes, I did it. I was a mentor, but I didn't really, it didn't go through this specific program. We didn't really call me a mentor and them a mentee, and it wasn't all this official stuff, but it definitely happened. So I think that's also very interesting and fascinating to me.
Yeah, it happens. And this is when you have that connection with people. That's the most important thing, because as I mentioned to you earlier, business comes down to connections with people. And when you have, for example, you have a team, you know them well, you know their weaknesses, you know their strengths. It's very easy if you want to. You can help those who'd like to grow. It's very easy to help them grow. It's very easy to help them develop. And at some point, if they feel they would like to do something else, to try something else, to let them go and to enjoy seeing them during their journey onwards, during their career journey.
Yeah, and this is a good segue into the next question, sort of talking about that growth. And there's a lot out there in the world about getting out of your comfort zone that helps you to learn. So what are your thoughts on the whole concept of getting out of your comfort zone?
Oh, well, I love this question. And if I'm honest, I'm comfortable when I'm out of my comfort zone. Otherwise, I get easily bored. I think that you can only progress, you can only grow if you get out of your comfort zone. If you stay into the routine, there is no way for you to grow. And getting out of my comfort zone is my favorite exercise.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So if you were to boil down leadership to one characteristic, what would you say that one characteristic is every leader should have?
That's an interesting question. I think respect. This is respect for people, to show respect for people, if this is a characteristic. Because again, it comes down to connections. It comes down to how you treat others. So if you are able to show respect to people, then things can work okay. And then you can really become a natural leader.
Yeah, I love that. I think respect is something that's probably not talked about as much as it should be. So, in your career, obviously, you have grown and you've developed more and more as a leader. So, what do you do now to help you ensure that? Like a lot of people do sort of they read books or they go to seminars, or I hate to call it self-help, but how do you improve yourself, or how do you ensure that you're continuing to grow as a leader today?
I don't think about myself as a leader, like focusing on that. If I'm a leader, then it's something that happens naturally. So I do not really put efforts into becoming a leader. What I would do and what I do actually is I analyze situations. I analyze each and everything we go through as a company, as a team, different conversations with different people. I always try to see the opportunities. I always try to see if there will be any challenges. So I spend a lot of time analyzing. So next time when there is a question or when there is a situation and someone comes to me and asks me, I'll be able to give an answer based on that analysis and that experience I have already had. And one thing about the leaders, what I have noticed and what I think is important is to be able to give answers, even though the answers are not always clear, but to be able to formulate answers based on previous experience and based on the knowledge they have obtained so far. Because it often happens that, if you're a leader of a team, or if we see it from this aspect, people come to you. They come to you with different questions. There are all, especially in the online payments sphere, there are constantly challenges, there are constantly new situations because it's quite a dynamic industry. And sometimes they come to you with a situation which is completely new, and you have to come up with an answer. You have to come up with some guidance and plan. And this is what is important and what makes people feel comfortable and stable within a company. So as a leader, I think being able to analyze the situation, being able to give the right answers is very important.
Okay. When someone's new to the company, say they're young or just starting in their career, what kind of advice do you give them to help them be successful?
I always tell them to take their time to learn, because I told you the payments industry is super dynamic. Even for me, every day there is something new. So when someone new joins a company or a team, they need to take their time to learn about the product, about the company, about the different aspects of the business. And I really encourage people to try to learn not only from A to B. If their job is only from A to B, not to focus just from A to B, but just to try to see the global picture, to see how the different puzzle pieces fit together, what is the role of each and every piece within the company, within the processes, and to be able to understand, to get the understanding and the knowledge, and not only focus on just their job, because this is where you actually grow and gain additional knowledge.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's great advice. This next question, I'm actually stealing from another podcast. It's on NPR by a guy named Guy Raz, and it's a podcast called How I Built This. And the question is, how much of your success do you attribute to hard work versus luck?
I really like that question. My immediate answer would be, for me, it's hard work. I always focus on the hard work, but then in the moments when I analyze and I look back and I think from time to time, okay, but I was really lucky at that time. So in my head, it's working hard, but yes, there is of course an element of luck in everything in life. So it's not that I rely on that.
Yeah, and I've heard people say it this way, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yes, I think in a way it's right. But in my mind, luck doesn't exist until I look back and actually I realize I was lucky. So,
right.
So yeah.
You don't sit around and wait for luck to happen, right?
No. It's just, hard work all the time.
Absolutely. So, Lili, we've covered a lot of ground today about you and your background and your views on leadership. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Not really. I would like to thank you for your time. It was really nice talking to you and sharing my thoughts. So, yeah, I wanted to thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you so much for being here. I know your time's very valuable. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Greg.
And to all you listeners out there, I thank you for your time as well. And until the next story.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Leaders in Payments podcast. Make sure you visit our website at leadersinpayments.com, where you can subscribe to the show and where you'll find our show notes. If you enjoyed listening, please share on your social channels as well.